Well, I've downloaded and played the single player of In Silence so far.
Nice.
How was it?
The AI is very easy to outsmart. That being said, I felt like you almost had a crutch everywhere, but I think that might not be the case, having seen actual gameplay from other people. I think that's particularly the computer thing. It was interesting, though. There was a dog in it that I was telling Alex that I found and released. And by watching other people, I think if you follow that dog, he kind of gives you a general direction of where the car might be. But you're also having to sprint after the dog, which could be detrimental.
Yeah.
How's it going on here, Val?
Alright, I think I got it, provided nothing makes it happen again. I had to go convince it to look at drivers for 0.2 seconds, and then it was like, oh no, this device is working fine, what are you talking about? And then I tested it and it worked fine. What was I talking? My computer's gaslighting me is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Computer's just like, I wasn't glitched, you're glitched.
That's maybe just the holiday season between Cameron's camera, Alex's perpetual camera that's glitching out at the bottom half, and now Vale's keyboard just wanting in on all of the fun.
I don't know what the problem is, but I don't want to pay money for another camera.
Which is fair, though I am curious as to what's making it do that, because it seems fine outside of it.
Yeah, it's like a nice one. I don't know why it does it. Provided I haven't really done too much research into it. But, like, I'm not, like, as pressed because I'm not, like, recording something legit with it. So.
And it's not like it messed with audio or anything.
Yeah, but if it was messing with that or, say, just repeatedly flashing, like, repeatedly, then I'd do something. But every, like, once in a while, whatever. Honestly, it might just be a cord issue. So.
It just gives you and Cameron freedom to like do little edits whenever it happens, where something gets a little closer to you, and then when it does it again, it disappears.
Yeah, exactly. It's a disguised cut. The only thing that make it difficult if you're trying to like include weird stuff is that the Discord windows are a little rounded, which is a difficult thing for you to set up in editing.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's normally a regular window. You have to mess with borders and stuff in a really weird way.
Any plans for Halloween?
Not that I know of.
Go work.
Yeah.
All I know is that there's a high chance I might be pulled into something for our home. I'm not sure what. And I also don't remember what day Halloween is actually on. It's on Saturday, so I will definitely have something at home going on.
No, if all else fails, if she'd wear it, just put Ripley in a sheet and let her run terror through the house.
She'd probably be a fan of that.
Yeah, but I guess you're enjoying spooking people, just running through the house as a white sheet.
And then she just meows whenever you look at her. And then runs away.
Alright. We're live. Got your dice.
Yep.
Ready to have some fun.
Hell yeah.
And I pissed away a 97.
Swipe.
I also pissed away a 12, so balance.
A 90, kind of. A 12 is just a terrible roll, but not super terrible roll. 97 is a really, really good roll.
Alright, we're good.
The cookie agitated a cavity I have.
Have you tried not having cavities?
I have.
Mm.
Desperately for years.
It's
But
really
I'm
funny.
also someone who doesn't floss.
That can be a detriment to it.
I don't floss. I don't like it. It is a bad feel. Like, I can feel my bones tingle. My sensory issues are immediately set off by such things. But I also don't have cavities, but that's because I don't think anybody in my family has had cavities except on my dad's side. Mom's iron teeth. To the point that I had to have 4 wisdom teeth and 4 baby teeth removed at age 17. Because they just wouldn't come out. I also had no teeth fall out of their own volition. All of them had to be pulled or accidentally snagged on something.
Yeah, I have a crowded mouth, so I've had 2 teeth pulled on the top and 2 teeth pulled on the bottom to make room, and my mouth is still crowded.
I'm assuming the wisdom teeth.
No, I haven't had my wisdom teeth pulled out yet. I actually really do need them pulled out because they are coming in horizontally.
He's gonna fall off the bed at this rate.
Maybe.
Probably would deserve it, honestly.
But yeah, I get cavities in all the areas that I need to floss because my teeth are so close together. Brushing just doesn't do the trick.
I physically can't. The orthodontist made my teeth too tight to the point it snaps any thread that tries to go in between them.
My gums just bleed like a bitch.
I mean, that's what they do if you don't floss. Everyone's just like, the dentist just massacres my mouth. No, it's because you don't floss.
I'm aware of that.
We're upsetting the military dentist in our midst.
No, the upsetting thing is hearing this guy who didn't floss, was a heavy coffee drinker, believed that mouthwash was bad for you.
Was he drinking it?
If you drink it, he's right.
Quite obviously did not brush his teeth, so I literally reduced the size of his teeth because he had so much plaque on them in half. And he licked his teeth and he's just like, is there supposed to be gaps there? And I'm just like, yes. But not usually that big.
He basically spread his own teeth by not brushing. Oh, that's so bad. Can I help you? No,
More
I'm not.
jerky.
And then the scent went through the mask, which was not pleasant.
We shouldn't ever get Devin started on dental stories because that one always comes out every single time.
I have temporarily appeased him. This will not last.
He knows there's more jerky.
He can see the bag.
Anywho, so let's get started. Last time where we left off, you guys had helped Olin with his Inquisitor problem. by working with one of the local merchant lords, a Yorick Horn, and disgraced Lael Rotmeyer in front of many of the civilians of Bilkenfest, or at least Uldag, with Erison Bjorg being present. The circumstances abound, and the lack of any evidence of anything supernatural going on, and Rotmeyer's already prior history with Olin made for an inexcusable evasion of privacy and an utter shaming, in which Rotmeyer had no choice but to leave Uldag at his earliest availability with all his men. So, with that, you guys began to have talks with Olin and Erison to some degree. Granted, you guys didn't have much you wanted from him particularly. And were given some contact information of individuals from the Magus Order. Also, the name and a referral to a Richard Hell Knight, who is apparently a aficionado when it comes to necromancy and the undead. So, with that, you guys were planning on waiting out the rest of the winter in Bilkenfest before traveling to Ilmora, which is not particularly far away. It's about, I think, 700 miles or something like that.
It's a long way when you don't have, I don't know, something like a
flying temple.
Flying airship.
Oh yeah, it's going to take let's see, 5 times 7. There we go. That's where my math was getting off at. It's going to take 35 days. It's going to take a little bit over a month.
That takes a little over a month to travel what is probably 1/3 of the distance we traveled in 2 days in the last session.
Yep.
That's wild. Alright, continue.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's, we don't realize how spoiled in modern day we are that we have vehicles that can travel faster than 10 miles an hour.
Going to a vacation in Hawaii was a life plan.
Yeah. Needless to say. And that, to be fair, that's also including the fact that you guys are traveling in the dead of winter, because you have been spurred on by the knowledge that various members of the Amoros, the one of the upper members of the Amoros family have awakened in City Rosencrantz. And while Radovan is not particularly 100% invested in making sure Rosencrantz doesn't fall back to its old way, it's hard to let a project like that go where he's done so much work. And so, you guys had a decision to make. To either go back to Rosencrantz, try to earn favor amongst, the waking members of the households before Iqval Rosencrantz comes about, or to continue on his plan, meet various powerful individuals, and to show to his father that, he is capable of so much more than what his father was intending for him. Vale lives in a house of needy animals.
Well, the first noise was my wife sneezing 2 rooms away.
I thought that was a dog whimpering, not gonna lie.
I hit it so you could hear he started screaming again, just the one. And at the same time she goes, oh, in the other room.
I mean, I don't think my statement was any less accurate, though.
No, not really. Shut up.
She's hoping to overstimulate and overlove him so that he'll just go and lay down. I know how cats do.
I don't think that would work on Ripley.
Oh God, no. She's like, oh sweet, party time, and then she just like enjoys it more.
I think she kind of uses it as like a recharge.
I mean, like even today, I was like I was in one of my classes, well, Zoom call classes, and she was like really hyper, but wanted me to pet her. So she was like doing her normal flop on you, like flop on your chest thing, but she was just squirming everywhere, rolling around, like wanting to play, but also wanting like me to pet her. It was very strange.
So, you guys decided that the best method was to gain powerful allies, continue on with your mission, and hope it will be enough to appease Iqbal when he arises, or at least to get powerful enough allies where, you know, worst comes to worst, you guys can hide from a very powerful old vampire.
We'll see how viable that strat is.
We will indeed. So, you guys begin traveling south. East, or southwest more specifically, as you have to kind of dip in through Helenia before heading into Ilmora. And as you guys can see there, the city that you guys are heading for is Hauser. By the time you guys are getting in, it is the early parts of spring. Some bits of snow remnants exist in piles about, but for the most part, the area is covered in green. There's some cold winds. You're further inside now, inland now, and you cross through various plains before arriving at Hauser. And Hauser is a beautiful city. It's known as the City of Towers. It's a rich and prosperous and boasts large marble buildings, an infinite amount of temples, museums, and staggering amount of artwork in the streets. Its nickname comes from almost 100 immense towers that were built within it, which the wisdom from eras past is compiled and knowledge of the future is studied. As you guys enter into the city, you can see that this is a place of dedicated learning. There's a very strong sense of culture in this city, focused on the arts, focused on the sciences, and even some heavily, religious-based sites with very beautiful motifs of the Saint Helenia, probably due to its proximity to the Principality of Helenia, and of Abel, and some of the oh goodness, what are they called? Followers of Abel. There's a word for it.
Apostles?
Apostles. I honestly couldn't remember for the life of me. But yes, the apostles. One of which was Agamemnon. Ishtar, you can roll a religion history roll to know about Agamemnon. As well as anyone. But this is very, very much a religion history roll.
General history.
Yeah, you can make a history roll.
That'd be an 89.
There'll be a 135.
Find me a place with some fucking class.
Ishtar leans over to Serena. You don't think they set the tables here like they did at that restaurant, do they?
I'm not sure. Jack would be a little bit more knowledgeable in that.
Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't Agamemnon. It was a different apostle. Which one was it?
Just Bob.
The Apostle Bob.
The greatest yet most forgotten apostle.
It was the Apostle Nathaniel, the Enlightened. And generally, he was known as one of the primary consultants of Abel during his time. Well known for his breadth of knowledge and wisdom. Serena, you would know a little bit more about him since you rolled so well. That he was known for showing incredible wisdom, and he was also known as the Sinner, as apparently he had committed atrocious acts before coming across the Messiah himself and turned a completely new leaf, dedicating the remainder of his life, which he was the longest living of the apostles, living a grand total of 293 years.
Damn.
age.
I don't know, sounds kind of heretical to me.
Some Old Testament shit.
Before being assassinated by Ra, son of Judas himself.
No, Anima. Go for it.
I'm curious, what archetype was Judas? Seems like it.
I guess I won't watch the stream on the side.
Well, and our whole internet went down, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not like last time where it just happened like 3-4 times in a row.
Poor internet. It's trying to carry so hard.
We were categorized under Hades for that first, like, 30 minutes or so.
I mean, Alex was playing.
I was, so technically,
It's not false advertising.
Yeah, it was just technically Alex being a very shitty Hades streamer.
yeah, exactly.
Seriously,
You are literally the worst Hades streamer.
Yeah, you couldn't see the game. I wasn't reacting. The most you got was a damn. Just go off.
Yeah, just turned the game off.
Like, oh shit,
goodness.
oh, just whatever.
Anyway, so yes, Judas, also known as Iscariot Sith, known as the Evil Serpent and the Renegade. His aspect, as you asked, is the traitor.
Alex is like laughing, but he's also like, I wish I had those names.
A little. They're
Mr.
very
Yeah, I would completely warp my paladin's stories. Like, Dread Knight
It sounds cooler.
It's not
does. Don't we all aspire to have badass titles?
That's all I want.
There's these 6 sets of armor, right?
But to be fair, many of the apostles lived well into their, like, after their first century.
Heresy.
In fact, the emperors are known to, on average, live 150 plus years.
Heresy.
Is it all just some key shit?
I think a lot of it is key shit.
Yeah.
Like, to be legit. But I do know that the Giovanni bloodline specifically, they just age slower.
All right. I guess.
Because Lucanor, who isn't really a particular fan of, like, the martial side of things, looks like he's in his mid-20s, but he's actually in his 40s.
He hates it because he throws one punch and he's instantly a master at every martial arts ever.
Pretty much.
He's broken as shit.
Being a Giovanni man. Well, Giovanni man is actually accurate because all the Giovannis have always been men. And they only ever bear one son.
Bunch of freaks.
And then they die.
I mean, most of them have died to old age. Only the last one didn't, because he went crazy.
Yep. We're very familiar with that and the consequences of having your emperor go absolutely batshit insane.
That city is trying to attack us. Murder them immediately.
In fact, raise the whole principality.
But, anyway. So yeah,
So
you find...
said no one ever.
You find various statues of Nathaniel interposed without the city as well, as they are a symbol of being an apostle, so a very religious symbol, but a symbol of wisdom as well, and it blends really well into the city. You guys can also see that for the most part, this city is old. And many know that Hauser is one of the oldest civilizations, or one of the oldest cities in the old continent. One of the few spared Ra's wrath. As you guys enter into the city, you take in the sights, enjoy everything. Radovan has still been wearing his thick coat almost this entire time, much to his own dismay, as it is getting a bit warmer and the excessive layers is getting a bit much. But if he were to go into anything lesser, it might be too cold for him still. So, kind of that being a baby, but also being a whiny baby kind of situation. But you guys do get some general looks in town, as you don't seem to match the general populace. Regardless, as you guys are moving through, you eventually head to a part of the town, a very nice little vista area that overlooks some beautiful scenery. And you come to a very nice looking manor. Upon arriving, Radovan knocks on the door. And you guys are greeted by a wizened gentleman at the entrance, who looks you all over and is like, you must be the one that Olin sent over, is that correct? Radovan takes his hood off somewhat. Yes, that would be us. Alright. Go ahead and come inside. Motions and as you all enter in. As you guys walk in, the home is lavished, full of nice furniture, large picture frames of various important moments in history, and very fancy, casual bookshelves. Let me introduce myself. My name is Varys Alderney. Magus of the Magus Order. And I've come to know that you're all looking to have a meeting with our Magus Rex. And it's at this point that Radovan's like, yes, as he's taking off his coat and like hangs it up, and you can tell he's wearing really nice clothes underneath this heavy ass coat. Because despite being hot as hell, he refuses to not represent.
Dog straightening coat. Yep. Mood. Feel it. Try real hard up here. It's a struggle to have to keep to the aesthetic, to keep your pride as someone who isn't a dirty street ruffian, or crawled out of the woods barbarian, or a strange feral church lizard.
Oh, that killed Suzanne.
That is the best description of not knowing what she is, but being pretty close. Might as well.
You know what? You should make a note of it, because I have like a rotten blueberry and a muffin as a description for Radovan as a note down somewhere. Mostly so you can remember the insult.
So yeah, Radovan takes out the coat and he's like, yes, well, back when, before everything happens, the Magus Order was still just a budding new organization of individuals being led by Amoros. I hear in the time that, since then, it's become quite an established organization and has done quite well for itself, and they are also looking for an opportunity to present themselves to the world as a whole. And that, I think, our interests align.
Oh no, did we lose them again?
Oh no.
We did.
Maybe it's temporary.
Maybe.
I think we all froze on their end.
Probably.
Alright, they're back.
Oh hey, I caught our audio up suddenly. Nope.
So it was unintelligible.
Can you hear us?
Y'all internet's having a fucking time.
Yeah, it seems our volume is not on point either. It takes about 5 seconds for the words to be delivered.
Yep. I see your mouth moving, and then you talk real fast.
Okay. It shows our internet stabilized. We're good now?
Seems good right now.
Seems it.
We missed an opportunity.
Dream day.
It always happens on Wednesday.
It's always Wednesday, and I'm assuming it's because the internet company has decided that Wednesday is the worst day, and thus, fuck its internet. Because we don't have problems any other time of the week.
Somebody just hates their Wednesday shift.
Yeah.
Kicks all the servers on their way out. Kind of like Jimmy's loose a lot of lines. But yeah, no, you were looking for a time to present yourselves, and I think... Oh, gone.
Yeah. And so I think we can help each other on this matter. This is when Varys begins speaking, and he says, well, that's what is our end goal is nothing that we feel confident the world is ready for as of right now. But our organization has gone to great lengths to connect with various archons of Samael. So, speaking to one of the fabled Rosencrantz, I'm sure, is well within our Magus Rex's interests. For the time being, you are free to stay here as my guests, and we will set up the appropriate meeting with Alexei Magus, as well as get you in contact with he looks a bit awkward for a moment. He's like, Richard Hell Knight.
That sounds familiar.
Yes, he was the necromancy aficionado you guys were talking about.
Oh, no. I was thinking of Vizerin. That's my bad.
And I'll put... So, give yourself rests for the evening, and on the morrow we shall move to the university. So, for the remainder of that day, you guys are given a somewhat luxurious stay inside of Varys's home. And the rooms are really nice. The beds have nice silky embroidered sheets. There is running water and electricity here in the city. And clean soaps and everything you would need to, relax. Though Ishtar, you're approached by Varys.
Good luck, make good decisions. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
I've noticed a particular presence about you. You're a mage, correct?
If that's what you call it, yes.
He looks confused. What do you mean?
I don't know what I am. I was never given proper teachings, and all I know is based off of instinct.
Ah. Well, to have cultivated yourself to this point on no teaching at all is nothing short of miraculous. So, we make it a large part of our efforts to reach out to budding new mages and make sure they're properly educated and such. I run one of the various institutions of teaching young minds, and if you're at all interested, I would like to bring you into the fold, as it were.
It's a big decision.
It is, and if you're not overly comfortable with my countenance, there are many others who would be willing to take you in as well.
I'll think about it. There are many things for me to consider, some of which are probably not as openly obvious.
I understand. We all have our predicaments. But still, the offer is open, and we highly recommend you take it. It is an opportunity not afforded to most.
Okay. Thank you.
He bows, and as I mentioned before, he's a wizened individual. He is a man who very much has like a long beard that's slowly starting to fade to gray, losing its listlessness over the years. Very well, managed and combed, and he looks like a wizard, It just seems to be a very wizardy thing. To be fair, most of them take the image of Nathaniel as a semblance of wisdom in the long beard and the kind of general apparel as such. Many wizards or maguses specifically tend to take it as a weird sense of wizard fashion. But with that, you guys are able to rest and have a very nice warm meal that evening. Varys is quite interested in Radovin's diet. And they talk at length about it, and it's a conversation that, well, you see some people would be very uncomfortable about the situation. Varys seems more intellectually interested in what's going on, and has many questions that Jacques has asked similarly in the past. Though when it comes to speaking on like vital essence and the fact that Vitella are more composed of like an ichor than they are of any actual kind of organs, he seems to understand the more mystical aspects of it more than...
Because he's mage.
Yeah. Your levels of interest, though similar, differ in some very key ways.
Yeah. Though he does pay marked attention to the conversation, just because he expects slightly different questions to eventually come up because of their different perspectives. But
Yeah.
he is interested in the fucking magic. I mean, it's real, and this guy's not whipping weird shit out of his ass, so it has its validity.
He definitely talks a very scientific lingo of magic that up until this point you had no idea magic was as calculated as
I think if anything,
it
it makes Doc actually like, okay, you know what? I'll allow it. It's not some stupid pseudoscience with a bunch of people shaking shit in the woods and drawing water out of the dirt.
Arthur's trying to figure out what any of this means.
Yeah, you lost him at countenance at the very beginning of this stay here at the house.
I'm sorry you're having like bathroom issues, man. That's rough.
Yeah, so like the company of idiots. Jacques does pay attention.
It's all very, very interesting. I could talk a lot about magic theory and anima, but to save us much time, I will not. Or at least...
There's actually a couple points where like Jacques actually asked like a clarification to understand what Varys is talking about. And you don't see like there's a moment of like, ugh, I'm talking about it. But no, it's fine, it's interesting. His academic interest is there.
Talking about magic is very much about talking about quantum physics. It's
fascinating.
very
Even if he's missing a lot of like the groundwork understanding, it's still interesting to hear somebody talk about.
yeah. And Radovan, whilst knowledgeable somewhat in some of it, is not as knowledgeable as Varys is either. So there's lots of times where Varys has to reconsider his questioning before asking in a more layman's term certain things. But it's a very interesting dinner nonetheless.
Is Char paying attention?
She's trying to. She's losing it every now and then because this is far too advanced what she's known up until now. She's like, oh, this makes sense. Wait, what are they talking about? Oh, I know that word. I know what that means. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Gotta get this dragon some education eventually.
Oh no, I like feral church lizard more.
You must become a mighty noble dragon.
So, that evening you all finally bed down, rest for the evening. Is there anything you guys do before bedding down or that evening, before the next day?
Nishtar would probably walk around the house, look at all the different historical paintings.
And there are many. Many of them which do have plaques that have names like the Battle of oh goodness, what's it called? I could make shit up, but I know actual history. 1 second.
It's all just different depictions of Disciple Bob throughout the years.
Arthur, for one, does his best to cool down after just complete overload of information that he just didn't understand. He tried to, didn't understand, so it's just like steam out of the ears. I'm gonna lay
His
down.
mistake was listening.
Yeah.
He got overstimulated.
Poor Arthur, the scientific talk was too much. It just floored him.
I just make guns. I don't know what any of this means.
I just want guns, so I have them.
The Battle of Terminus, which was the final war fought between Zorn and Ra. Well, Ra's armies and Zorn Giovanni.
Devin, you tried to go off screen and instead it's just like super up close in the corner.
We tried. You can't say anything either. Just one of those awkward moments. He's like, "Oh, shucks,
You
choose faster."
Beans.
Oh, beach. Shut the fuck up, Alex.
But yeah, there's many, and they're all very well done. Many of which are of battles or events that have occurred centuries ago. So the artistic renditions of such. As well as books and books of, or bookshelves upon bookshelves of various histories and interesting lore bits from throughout the world. Anything else anyone is doing?
Having a
Arthur's
very,
decompressing in his room.
having a very nice bath.
Okay. So,
Think stupid thoughts, Arthur. Think stupid thoughts. Quick, think of the stupid thought.
What if the bullets were invisible?
They move too fast, that's pointless.
No, but
exactly,
like,
it's a stupid
harder.
thought.
You know, it's harder to dodge because you can't see them.
Okay, you can't see them coming anyway.
Yeah, but they're like can't see them even more because they're not there.
Nope. If something doesn't exist, it can't exist less.
If you can't see it, you can't dodge it.
What if I made ghost bullets?
No sound, no sight. I'm just pointing this a thing at you, and then you just get hurt.
What if I made the bullets smell? Not for any reason, it's just can I?
All right.
But Jacques actually does. Oh, fine, Paris.
Okay. Varys, if anywhere, is in his study, which is a massive library.
If I might intrude.
There's no intrusion at all. How can I help you?
Well, it is not part of our little exchange. It is of worth to ask. I have spoken with Radovan about it, given his family's talents. I have a rather peculiar talent, if one could call it that. And I'm curious to know if you or your order have further information. The grounds of modern medicine do not reach it.
Okay. I don't know why you're beating around the bush when you're speaking to a magus.
You'll have to forgive yours, then. It is not normally something one can be outright with.
It's fair, I suppose. So, what is this thing?
I'm able to rot things at the church.
Is this familial?
Yes. It follows my mother's line.
Does it become more potent with increased... with more vital essence? Oh, goodness. Is your blood or saliva more virulent than the simple touching of the skin?
It can increase in its intensity depending on the method of contact and grows with age. It does not manifest until puberty.
Ah, I see. Interesting. Do you have many siblings?
No. In fact, my mother's family is so small in number, it is mostly unified with my father's house now.
I see. That is an unfortunate fate. Let's see. He gets up and he looks over his various book collection. I think I happen to have, yes, as he reaches up and he grabs a book and pulls it off the shelf and opens it, looking it over. It seems to match an affliction known as having a venomous essence.
As it most closely mimics the necrotizing effects of certain snake venoms. Accurate enough.
Yes. For some reason or another, you're... hard to put this in a way that is understandable. Your essence, your vitality is corrupted, and in turn has a similar effect on other sources of vital or other creatures that have a vitality. For instance, if you were to touch a golem or some artificial component, it would seem to suffer no ill effects.
No, it's had no useful effect on things that are not organic.
But any organic thing you touch, anything that has been considered spiritually alive, it will break it down on a... how to put it? Your essence destroys the essence of life itself. Without such a thing, other cells begin to break down, organs begin to fail.
I'm at least familiar with the Dhamma effect that bonus.
Sorry, what was the question?
I was saying I'm at least familiar with like everything that happens after.
Yes. So, that is a lamentable existence, as it prevents any form of normal intimacy required by most, and invariably cause distance between individuals. As of right now, we don't know the exact cause. Sometimes it appears in a bloodline as an aberration. Other times, a family that has come in contact with beings of overly malignant or destructive powers become corrupted as such. Anything that negatively affects living vitality. And there's some who say that they make deals with beings of venomous essence that inherit their abilities as such.
Well, my knowledge of the arcane is obviously limited. If you have any materials on your theories, I would still appreciate the information.
Well, this will provide a basic overview. Unfortunately, my personal stores don't have much in the way of deep research on venomous essence, though I'm sure some scholar has worked on it to some tireless degree. Anyway, he hands you over a book. The book itself says, The Power in Blood. And looking over the book synopsis and its appendix, or not appendix, but its index. It is a book on the various effects of bloodlines throughout Gaia that are most well known, and the various types and theories behind said bloodlines, and this peculiarity as to why bloodlines exist in the first place, and how beings who are not innately so closely tied to supernatural elements can somehow blend into them. Much of what he told you about the venomous essence is essentially what's in the book, with a few anecdotal examples and some various theories, like those who make a deal with the basilisk and take from its power have been known to sometimes exhibit symptoms similar to venomous essence. So, it's a very hard book when you're not inducted into Magus culture, and there's many terms used that don't make a lot of sense, but for the most part you get that as, for some reason or another, you get someone gets too close to something supernatural and it affects their bloodline forever after.
Delightful. Book's still useful because he's of course got to break down what notes he can from the book and add it to his own ever noted journal. Anything is more than nothing. And of course, we'll take notes on what examples are given as well. And then puts theories in their own little separate areas. So you can muse on them more later.
Fair enough.
Probably flips through to other bloodlines as well, trying to find similar themes or things of interest. Because, I mean, even if he doesn't know much of the occult, it's still fascinating as a doctor to know that there's a bunch of freaky ass bloodlines running around.
One in particular that you take notice of, just because it seems to be relevant, is a bloodline known as the Dragon's Blood. A very mysterious bloodline, as unlike many others, it doesn't necessarily confer dragon-like abilities on individuals. Instead, it confers the book states it as an enhancing of one's essence beyond what it corporeally could. More or less, it translates to they have a greater destiny in some form, and the power manifests different for everyone.
Do you have examples of it manifesting physically at all?
Yes.
Oh, how strange.
They
The delight we've experienced tonight.
there are various individuals, many of whom descend from Holsts, who have been known to, under certain circumstances, bear dragon-like tattoos across their body as they tap into this inner source of power. Now, dragons are specifically held, and mentions in this section as well, as the beings closest to pure fantasy in existence. Their essence is so intrinsically tied to the supernatural and the like that dragon-like beings have been known to express powers and abilities of almost any type of creature available. It is almost as if they are made of magic completely themselves.
I will be right back. I have to quickly take an important call.
Okay.
It's actually just ditching us to order pizza or something.
Oh no, and then he fucks up the cameras? God.
Actually, his doesn't fuck with cameras at all.
Like, he's the first.
Okay.
Or last one. Yeah, I noticed the dog's flipping through that one. Wow, that's super interesting. Wow, how nice of a bloodline. That's like the polar opposite in like how bad versus nice a bloodline can be. How interesting. Oh look. Can express traits of pretty much anything. Neat. Scribbles notes in a certain section somewhere. There's the journal.
Beyond that, you also know that there is a general section of bloodlines known as Blood of the Beast, where any creature of significant enough supernatural essence that commingles with more mortal-like beings like humans and such have oftentimes conferred some of their physical traits to their kin.
Mm-hmm. Scribbles down just in case. You never know what it could be.
It's a very open section of the book, and it's not one that's overly particular. there's a few examples of like individuals who gained the ability to breathe underwater, or gain minor control of the elements, or grew various appendages.
You know, the
Wings
latent
and such.
bloodline must be a fucking nightmare for people to study, because it's literally just, yeah, later I'm just gonna pick all of them.
Kind of. It doesn't show in this book, but essentially what the latent bloodline is you're just someone who has multiple bloodlines, or the ability to tap into multiple bloodlines.
You're a freak.
It's not like the latent bloodline itself is like, oh yeah, you're from a creature that can mimic anything.
No, I just meant like their genealogy must be a fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
There's a supernatural orgy at some point.
Maybe. Or a particularly powerful family that, over the years has just wooed various supernatural creatures.
They were playing CK2 and wanted all the bloodlines.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he has a whole bunch of additional notes now in his section on himself, and now he has a bunch of notes on Ishtar. This is going in your medical record, ma'am.
Hey, you know more than she does. She doesn't know what she is.
He has no confirmation. But both of those are like, and more so actually in the Dragon one, just because you're like, yeah, I can just kind of do magic, just whoosh. Yeah, that sounds like some special protagonist bullshit that you got there.
Can you use the restroom real quick?
He mostly just suffers his pride. One, having to ask someone for information, and then two, having to listen to like, wow, your life must suck. And it's like, yeah, I didn't need you to break down my current situation. Thank you. I was more interested in the academic side of things, not the psychological case study that you are intending on doing in the middle of your study while I'm stuck here, because I do need to know more. So Doc and swallowing his pride don't go very well together. In fact, he's probably a little queasy afterwards. Like, his stomach is actually like a little sick from a blow to his pride.
Which is fair. Thankfully, he's in a nice place where he can get a relaxing bath, calm down.
Yeah, this place is super nice.
And he gets to sleep on nice, decent sheets.
Electricity. Hot water. Somebody mopped the floors recently. Like, very recently. These are mopped tiled floors. Do you know how beautiful that is? Look at them. Look at them catching the candlelight. Oh wait, there's no candlelight because there's electricity.
Ishtar's figuring out the light switch and how it works.
There's perfumed, like, bath oils for the bathroom. I bet you monsters don't even know how to use this shit.
Ishtar can verify she has no idea.
Why are
She's
there
been
two
to
different
four.
bottles for your hair? You only need one, right? For, like, your whole body, right? Doc just... disgusted.
The first Inquisitor learning about electricity, somebody flips on a red light, and he's just like, and he leaps up at the light bulb.
Like that fucking video of those kids, like, boom, with the pillow.
But anyway, we can continue. It's not like Arthur's going to have any major input on anything that's going to be happening.
Oh, F in chat, he's dumb.
Alex had like a huge like checklist of stuff he was gonna ask. It was gonna be very in depth.
Hey, Mr. Mage Man, can you explain why I can do the things that I do? So I just want guns, and they pop up into my hands.
It sounds like sorcery.
And then I decided that the guns should be silent, so I make the gun barrel close behind the bullet so that it catches the sound. Because that's how silencing weapons works. Because I'm a science man, I know things.
The wizard just has an aneurysm and dies.
But that's how you defeat an archmage. Just say stupid enough shit.
Just dumb them to death.
No. But no,
Except-
besides complaining about Jacques' injured pride.
No. Actually, I guess I should wait for Alex. I don't want him to miss this next part.
Especially for meeting Hell Knight finally. Getting by that nice call to Anastasia. It's gonna be fun.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. While I was looking around, do any of the paintings stand out in particular?
I mean, some of them, like Terminus, is considered a holy war, so that would be something that you would recognize more completely. But no, most of them, there's no secret paintings, no like, oh yeah, this is actually if you look at this using magic, you get, a secret code that tells you how to get into the Magus Order. It's mostly just historical and important moments in history that have been very well renditioned and painted down.
Okay.
Radovan is very excited to be staying in civilization for once, and he's just like, oh yes. Sheets that have more than 100 thread counts. I've missed you so much.
He's gonna have an aneurysm when he finds out Anastasia was practically living there for several months.
Jacques says nothing to Radovan's glee over the situation, but he's absolutely right there with him.
Yeah.
There need be no words. There is only the look of solidarity of, yes, this is how people were meant to live. I do not long for the day we return to the bedrolls in the dirt.
So after you guys rest for the evening, unless anyone has anything else they want to do. You all wake bright and early, and I mean early, like 6 a.m. early, not like it matters to Arthur at all, but for those who sleep normal amounts, it's early. And you guys, before the sun has even risen, are awoken by Varys and gather together and head off to one of the grand universities.
Don't worry, Arthur. More academic speak.
Arthur prepares himself for a day of just people, just things going boom, right over.
Oh, Arthur, what'd you think of the bed? I didn't know they were so soft.
Honestly, I kind of view a bed as a bed, you know? I'm not going to turn down a soft one, but like, I don't know. I'm a very function over form kind of guy.
My back actually kind of hurts.
Well, I mean, there's not much time for my back to hurt when the amount of time I sleep. After I got my sleep in, I kind of tried to read some books, but like, they got a lot of words I just don't understand.
Yeah, I had a hard time sleeping. I never thought it was hard to sleep on a cloud.
It would be. I mean, you kind of just fall through it.
Thankfully, I didn't fall through the bed. That would have been bad.
That would have been weird.
Varys is just sitting there like, I need to train this young wizard as quickly as possible.
Jacques looks agonized, as if he had failed his own VR check.
The stupid is contagious. Must quarantine and re-educate.
Though, sometime during this whole thing, Arthur would use his key detection to see if this, if Varys has, he can sense his energy.
He has a very lower end energy. He's a man who's getting on in years and doesn't seem to have much vitality through your eyes.
Uses key detection to tell when you're gonna fucking die.
He ain't like dead, and he also can't use his energy to hide it. So he's not one of those people. Deductions. More to himself than anything else.
He's trying to figure out the classification. This one's a key user, so he doesn't know that. So it's like, this one can probably punch or make guns. This one is weak, maybe wizard, maybe just old man.
It's the only way he knows how to classify it.
You know, I'm really glad that you don't have something like the sight or whatever, just because Arthur would be tripping all the time. No concept of what's happening around him.
Yeah.
You guys eventually head to a large university known as Hauser's Institute of Sciences and Learning. And heading inside, you go through some of the halls, which are pretty much empty at this point. None of the students are here this early. And as you guys are walking through the various somewhat dim, the light bulbs in this age are not very bright, I must add. They're not like incandescents, you know. They light the room enough, but it's not a very bright or high quality lighting. You guys come across an individual who might be a teacher here. He tall, lanky man, wearing a button-up shirt and nice trouser pants, seeming to be young in his early to mid-20s. His hair is a mess. It's combed up, but it has a very bedhead-esque-ness to it. It's a very, like, cowlick in some places and everything like that. And he has various streaks of shaka white throughout his hair. And his otherwise dark brown hair. Turns to look at you all, and Varys goes, "Ah, yes. Professor Hell Knight. Convenient that we would run across you here. In fact, we would be looking for you before too long." He turns to look at you all. He's just saying like, "Ah, yes. Varys, good man. So, you're looking for me. Are you finally interested in getting to know about the more unsavory arts?" No.
I'm just saying, using magic for party tricks is perfectly valid.
But we have some individuals who are interested in such things. You mean I finally get to become a magus? No longer a magister, I get pupils of my own? Show me the bright minds, please. Where are they?
I mean, personally, I'm more into the savory arts. You know, they kind of taste better.
He's stupid, but I'll take him. I'm desperate at this point.
I was just a little mean.
Oh, I'm sorry, good chap. I was assuming you were jesting, and I was jesting back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was joking.
Doc, standing like a little bit in front of him, just has like the most flat expression. There's like the tiniest little.
Radaman's like, I think I like him.
Doc then in horror realizes, oh no.
No, but they have questions involving those things. Radaman's like, in fact, I'm sure, he looks at you all, Jacques, You can escort everyone else and go talk with Mr. Hell Knight while I talk with the Magus Rex.
Of course.
I think this is one of those situations where our two different interests will diverge for a little bit of time.
Okay,
Do enjoy yourself.
and be careful.
Oh, trust me. If they wanted us dead, we would already be gone. We're fine here. I promise.
No, we mean don't stub your toe.
What kind of unelegant Vitella do you all take me for?
You do complain every time.
He has better footwork than all of you put together.
You guys are making me question my traveling companions. It's a joke. Calm down. Relax. It's early in the morning.
Ishtar just looks forlorn and just walks after Mr. Hell Knight.
Anyway, we'll be off. Varys nods. And Professor Hell Knight's like, alright, good. So, all of you come with me to my
Nefarious
Auditorium.
necromancer chambers.
No, to my auditorium. I don't have any. I don't have any classes until somewhere near midday. He escorts you guys to go in, and you guys go into a very typical, medium-sized university auditorium. Once you guys get in, he's like, go ahead, sit in the first row. We'll go ahead and get started here. He goes up, pulls out chalk, and begins writing on the chalkboard.
I believe you might misunderstand. Perhaps more details. Only one amongst us are actually capable of magic. So, we all have skills of sorts. He kind of looks at Arthur for just a moment. But we do have a problem. As we've run into quite a bit of undead, which you are to be an expert in, no?
Yes, I am. He says he finally puts the chalk down, and you see behind him written on the chalkboard, theories on manipulating the dead, written out in chalk. And you'll have to excuse me, but even if only one of you are a magic caster, I've been waiting to give this sermon for a very long time.
Oh, okay. And she'll go and sit in like the center front seat.
I don't want to stop a man who's clearly rehearsed. He just sits down.
That's fine if you guys are wait on the Book of the Dead.
He drops the chalk. I'm sorry.
John immediately looks smug. Just small look.
Did you say the Book of the Dead?
It has what brought us here.
Yes.
He instantly just approaches, puts his hands on your shoulder. He's like, "Tell me everything you know about the Book of the Dead."
No.
Oh boy.
He doesn't like to be touched.
No, is it Serena or Shock?
It's Jacques. He grabs.
Oh boy.
I'm out of the way. He takes a step back, and if he continues, does he continue to follow, like, reaching for him?
I mean, he attempts to. If you make a very urgent move away from him,
Yes.
he stops.
I would prefer you kept your hands to yourself for both of our well-beings.
I'm sorry, but you're saying more words that don't revolve around the Book of the Dead. I need you to tell me exactly everything you have right now. Where's my notebook? I need my notebook. He like looks around and begins just frantically searching for like a sketch pad before he finally pulls it out and like has a pen at the ready.
For the sake of making this quick, we were all in Terra Santa when an incident happened which ended in the violent and swift spread of a number of undead. We were trapped in the city and in the end discovered that the Black Sun organization had a facility beneath the city, where they had been experimenting on one of many methods to create undead, to control them and use them for military purposes. Enabled by the Book of the Dead in the presence, in the possession of the Delacruz family. Or Delacruz family. The Croix. So that.
You see it at first. He's very eagerly writing anything you say at the very beginning. When you mention Black Sun, you can see his expression sour immediately, but still takes in every note that you provide to him. All right. So you're telling me you don't know anything more particular about the Book of the Dead?
Other than it was given to the Delacroix family by a lich.
Was it given to him by a lich?
I think I remember having notes for it somewhere.
No, I don't think it's been ever mentioned.
I don't know. Either way, she just knows something gave them the book, and it's not of this world. She makes note of that. I don't know where that thought came up, and I don't know what is wrong with me.
Beyond its ability to have powers of the undead, and being a quote-unquote massive compendium of thousands of pages written in blood bound on human skin and metal, no. Unfortunately, we have no further details except that it should not be in the hands that it is.
Got it. I must have imagined that detail. No worries.
I think you compounded the fact that Ringham exists and be like, yes, it must have been Ringham who gave it over or something.
I mean, there's been plenty of times where I had to sit here and go, what information does my character know again? Because we're playing two different undead campaigns. So.
So, no worries. It's a fault on my part, but still.
No, that's fair. Don't worry about it.
However, as interest in undead, I do have some documents that may be of interest to you.
Sure. Go ahead. I'm sure they're probably from Black Sun, given your story. And it's probably about some kind of chemical components or viral components to make undead.
If you would prefer not, I'll keep them.
I mean, it's up to you. I am an... I almost said the N-word. I am interested in the art of dealing with the undead, and I find perverting magic by adding technological elements to it or scientific elements that remove the magical aspects of it and make it more crude and normal and oh god, why would they take such a holy text and do such sacrilegious things with it?
I'm unsure if I would consider it more normal to have undead standing over 20 feet and consuming other undead into their bodies with a hardened mucus shell as normal, but...
I probably wouldn't say that it's a holy text either.
That's just a difference of opinion. I believe that anything that manipulates the realm between life and death has to be divine in some fashion. I mean, that is purely the will of the gods. I mean, what is it to us mortals that a god could just wish us to be dead in an instant? How does that happen? What is the effect of it? They can just end you. It's not something as simple as destruction or piercing or bludgeoning or some kind of laceration. You just die. I wonder what it is that causes you to just die. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
The doctor is slowly blinking. What causes you to die? That's a great question. What are your symptoms? It's about to be necrosis. Ironically enough.
This man's saying a lot of big words real fast.
Doesn't everybody?
And yes, as much as it's interesting that one is manipulating the dead in various forms, doing so from such a crude standpoint just ruins the sense of it all. I'm not opposed to necromantic golems. I find them very, very fascinating. But when you're just sewing people together, that doesn't count. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself again. So what did you need from me?
We need to know more, so we can take the book.
And stop the De La Cruz family.
And looks around. You guys are planning on taking the book?
Yeah, we can't have them doing what they did in Fayon anywhere else.
Was found, but
It was the Providence, I believe.
No, it was one hole.
there's not a simple one.
Oh, you know what? I know what I did wrong.
See, even Devin gets his notes wrong, and he knows more about it than technically most anyone besides myself. But anyway, he's like, you know, the De La Cruz family and the Black Sun in general are a very powerful organization.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been told as such.
You
We
know, they have necromantic beings that bridge the gap between being mortal and divine. Demigod power individuals who can rip nations apart by themselves, right?
No, but it does not change the fact that what they are capable of can drastically change the face of society, and that it is an immeasurable black stain on society as a whole. And it's why we are not currently knocking on their door, and instead are trying to learn more and reach out to other organizations and individuals who have reason to stand against their desecration of the holy text.
So if I was to tell you they were making beings, how do I put it? Large necromantic snakes that can consume corpses to increase their length, ravaging entire nations, becoming living weapons that can shoot corpses at you like bombs. That doesn't dissuade you at all.
He doesn't turn around.
I'm asking you the question, sir. So why are you raising your hands?
I just got a little question on my own. Like,
Answer mine
can you
first.
can you hurt it?
Sure, why not?
Then probably yeah. Then I'd go after it.
Okay.
His answer aside, as I said, you don't see me starting it. But there are other individuals. If you're capable of creating these things, then there are people capable of taking them on, I am sure. And those with the means and the interest in doing so, because nobody wants a giant snake consuming corpses and firing them like bombs. Do not consider that. He immediately turns to Arthur.
Slinks a little down in this chair.
If I accidentally get blown up because you shot an exploding bullet, we're going to have a problem.
What if I shoot people and they fly into their allies and explode?
What if I shot grenades?
I just wouldn't want it to hurt my allies. To get across himself.
He has this unending grin on his face. He's like, so you, despite all this, you guys are planning on willing to subject yourself to possible multiple assassinations from an organization that has more money than most large nations. And you're still planning on doing this?
I can't let them continue what they're doing.
Besides your four-fingered man, did anybody else have anything else on it to do this? I took it a little bit personal being stuck in a fucking experiment city. So you do not use that language.
I just know a little too much information for me to willingly leave. So.
I see. Let me see. He's looking over some various papers on his desk, and he seems to pull like a stack of papers out, and he comes over and he hands them over to Jacques.
Takes them.
It's his cover letter and resume. Hello, I'm Richard Hellknight. I am well-versed in necromantic arts, and I'd love to join you on your journey to retrieve the Book of the Dead from the Delacruz family.
A resume would not be necessary, but I appreciate the quirk. He says in a voice that does not appreciate the quirk.
Take it. I have plenty.
Can we exchange her for somebody else? Can I actually do an interview process to find somebody that doesn't...
The right fit. I mean, you guys don't have to take him.
No. Radovid already likes him. And also he's fucking useful, so...
He's very useful. Unfortunately... Well...
He's also eccentric because he's a fucking necromancer!
He's also probably locked into the timeline.
I mean, yes, but I knew you guys wouldn't be able to resist having someone like him along anyway.
Oh yeah, no, as a player, we're all here for it. As characters, some of us are here for it.
Yes.
Put your hand down.
Okay, can I get one of those?
Yes, of course.
Starts reading it over.
You don't understand, like, 90% of it.
What does that mean? It's just like points.
It means that I'm well-versed in the magic tree of necromancy.
He says it like a dirty word.
Alright.
It is a dirty word. You don't say that word here. Let me... As not to overly perturb you from the sudden leaving my job and joining you on this crazy adventure, I think it needs to come with a little bit of a backstory. I think there's no mystery here that I am overly interested in the subject. Unfortunately, magic works in a very mysterious way where when one delves down this necromantic route, other forms of magic become much more harder for you to harness. It's very antithetical to magic as a whole. It's almost like a negative magic in a sense. Regardless, I like what I like, and I've dived head deep into it. So as far as potential is concerned, I'm every bit as a magus as many others. But I'm restricted to the path of the Magister, as, I have very little magic talent outside of this forbidden magic. In fact, he bends forward and he opens his mouth and hangs his tongue out, and you can see there's a very intricate tattoo, like, stamped across his tongue.
Oh, that's weird.
If I use any of my magic, and this was, of course, completely voluntarily conditional as well, I've been permitted to be a part of the Magus Order, studying this aberration of magic to the depths that I want, on the condition that I have this stamped so that Alexia at any point, if I use any magic that is unsavory, can decide to end my life. But I can study with impunity as long as I don't practice it overly much.
Delightful, is that in the resume?
It is, it's right here.
Oh, so that's what that meant.
Yes, it's under the clause of conditional use of magic for the purposes of self-defense.
Ah.
He folds it up and cracks open the tongue, just slides it into a blank part of it, the journal, and claps it shut for the moment. Which is a very messy thing whenever you guys see it. There's like a bunch of papers like shoved into the pages, as well as a bunch at the back that are like bound shut to keep them.
Now, don't get me wrong as well. As much as I am an aficionado of magics involving necromancy, I'm still a magus as far as knowledge of magic. So, if you are lacking any kind of arcane knowledge or any efficiency on such, I am every much as learned in the basics as any other magus.
Well, perhaps you can help one of our party then.
Everybody looks at Ishtar.
Everybody turns to look at Ishtar. Start to push
Ishtar
your
like just
spot.
shrinks in the seat.
As much as I want to play on the joke, I will be more calm in the moment. If you'd like to learn the basics of magic, I can teach you. But if you want to learn necromancy, you know who to talk to.
Only slightly unsettling.
You can tell he's kind of an
Everyone buys some
unhinged man.
drugs. Hold up a bunch of skulls.
Ishtar pauses for a moment, trying to consider this seriously without being too creeped out. I would need to know the basics of magic first before I make any decisions.
Dear, let me tell you, as much as I'm in love with necromancy and I want to teach it so very badly, it hurts. I don't recommend it for anyone. It's a very dark, crude art.
Also, maybe you're trying to get crazy.
No, that's just my own, flavor of things.
Stop responding to out of character comments. You're starting to think maybe you're crazy.
Oh no, he's a fourth wall breaker.
Those ones are the worst. I say playing one regularly on Friday.
So, I hope you really consider. I'll be more than happy to give any expertise on the matter. And I know you guys did come here for questions, and we mostly have been doing my own selfish inquiries up until this point. So, what would you like to know? I will do my best to keep my tendencies under control.
You already seem to know quite a bit about their creations. Did you work with Black Sun in the past?
Oh yeah, the Magus Order is well connected to Black Sun.
Specifically with their projects, the undead.
Officially no.
So yes.
Officially no.
Unofficially?
Officially no.
What about unofficially?
Officially no.
I mean,
I think you guys are missing the point here. Officially no.
What about unofficially? If we say it enough, you'll crash.
Doc hates you all so much. Your
Officially
knowledge
no.
of the various things that they have worked on is useful, as well as in the information you can provide further on Black Sun and the Delacroix family. Their members, their resources, the creatures that they have created, and the methods of doing so. Beyond their viruses, as we are aware of those.
Now, to be fair, when it comes to how the various biological parts of it, I'm a little fuzzier on the matter. I know the basic structure of what they're building off of, though. But I've kind of made it almost a point to avoid anything that's a little too sciencey on the matter.
Oh God, this man's an anti-vaxxer.
I prefer magic purist.
Traditional medicine, got it.
if it doesn't have crystals, he's not about it.
First, you soak it in moonlight and wash it in water during a new moon.
But, again, I know the basic structure of the undead they're basing everything off of, and when it comes to calcifying various limbs to make them stronger, or whether it comes from ligamental extensions to make their reach longer, make their size bigger, I understand the basics of what they're doing. I just don't know exactly how they're doing it because I choose not to.
Would you be well versed in how to take these creations down?
As tragic as that is, yes. Or manipulate them.
I suppose turning them on their masters is as effective as putting them down in the first place. So long as they're not let run loose. I'll be frank. Regardless of the issue with the Marcus Order, I don't particularly care your interests. Being that you're not turning the entire population of a city into an undead army for sale. However, do you create these abominations yourself?
If I did, I would be dead now.
I figure. A condition of your kill switch.
Yes. Essentially, any magic I use has to be approved by Alexei, and if it's an overly vicious spell, he might just assume I'm misusing it and then end my life immediately.
Yeah. Well, in the end, traveling with us, your knowledge would be useful, and you can study other people's creations. And if you're not allowed to make your own, I suppose you can temporarily acquire someone else's.
I think you're misunderstanding. I don't want to control an army of the dead.
No, I don't mean as such.
And I have
But
no
if we were to
overdrive
run
to control or make undead in any fashion. I'm purely fascinated by the aspects of necromancy.
Yes, I mean in the method of it is useful if you're with us if you can. Prevent us from having to hack at the heads of every single one of the damn things that we meet.
Oh,
And in
yes.
addition, you get research material for your fascinations.
I also can heal you with various necromantic powers as well. It's just a transference of vital energy, alright? It's only looked down by some circles.
The actual doctor grossed out by magical healing. But if it heals it wrong, your body knows what it's doing, but the magic doesn't. But, well, I certainly have no issue. Anything is better than nothing. And unfortunately, currently, we don't have much.
Good, then I'll go ahead and let the Magus Rex know of my immediate resignation from
The
the
rest
university.
of the party will, of course, also have to agree.
Sorry, what?
The rest of the party will, of course, have to agree.
There are more of you?
I don't speak for them.
Oh, you're talking about the ones in this room. They're just standing there, sitting silently nodding their heads, so I'm assuming
So I
they're
just don't
agreeing.
understand half the things you're saying, but you can tag along.
While I'm not a huge fan of what you have, you did say that there are precautions that you've taken for this. So I guess it would be okay.
No, that's funny. You say you don't agree with what I have. What do you think I have exactly?
I've seen a lot of horrible things done with necromantic intent. So I'm just cautious, is all.
What you have been seeing is purely a manipulation of the undead.
Right back home.
That in itself is very baseline and bland, nothing that I'm particularly interested in. Well, yes, I find it interesting, the various energies that are involved with the creation of a moving zombie or skeleton or behemoth or whatever have you. That's is only such a small part of necromancy. I'm just asking that you look at the things in a way that's more open-minded.
I'll try. It's just I have a bad light of it to start with.
I see no problem having someone with more academic knowledge come along. There's still a lot we don't know, and having someone who's a bit more educated will help. Though your practice doesn't coincide with any belief I had growing up, I believe at least giving everyone a fair chance. Seeing what they're capable of.
Sure, why not? I mean, I feel like I'm being overly judged for the fact that I am practicing necromancy, when you guys have no idea the depths of what I know or how I am capable of doing such things.
True, but I'm sure you're well aware of how the world views it, and how it's taught to everyone of how wrong it is.
I mean, is it? You all aren't Maguses.
Nope, it doesn't mean people aren't led by a blind belief without knowing the truth.
Yes. That's all I'm asking. Is not to be.
Well, then again, I'm not one to judge. So, she just hops off her seat.
Well, while I have you all for an extended period of time while your friend talks with our Magus Rex, why don't I go over the basics of necromantic knowledge to you?
Sure.
He
Yeah.
begins a sermon that, unless you have magic appraisal, you don't know anything of what he's talking about.
How engaging of a teacher is he?
As engaging as he has been talking to you all.
Okay. I'm trying to determine if Arthur falls asleep during it or not. Because he is not a good student. He would not be.
Is he the type of teacher where if he sees the student fall asleep, he specifically calls on that student to answer the question?
Or uses some necromantic magic to fuck with him and wake him up.
You have no idea how excited he is to give this sermon. You all could be dead corpses and he
You
would still be
agreed to
giving
the
it.
sermon while I was gone.
He offered, and we were like, okay, sure.
It's fine. Job has notes to do anyway.
He's a very exuberant teacher of the necromantic arts.
And Job does pay attention.
But he's someone who's so exuberant that he doesn't realize he talks at a level of depth that even someone who is a magus, well, a mage, I should say more specifically, it's very hard to follow. It's like someone who's excited about quantum mechanics and begins talking to you about quantum mechanics. Regardless,
This is the polar opposite of him trying to understand the Black Sun notes that are science, except this guy's notes are occult.
yep. It takes about an hour before eventually Varys arrives with Radovan in town. As Varys is like, oh god, no. As Richard turns, like, are you here to join us? We're just getting to the interesting part where we're talking about the negative influxes of life energy.
Charlotte leans over to Arthur. Do you know what he's saying?
He lost me at, like, Introduction to Necromancy.
Necromancy 101. Oh, that's a high number. Can we start at Necromancy 1?
Like, just make it, like, at the bottom level and then work your way up to 100.
But this continues.
No, we're here because this talks with Alexei are done. Raven speaks up. Yes, we've come to some understandings. But
I'm satisfied on that.
as much as they can be, these talks are of course going to be a slow thing. How has your sermon been?
Well, might have another person joining us.
Oh,
We did get his resume, and she kind of looks over to Arthur.
He hands one to him.
looks it over. Oh my, how official. I can see literally your exuberance and excitement in every page. It's just like, thank you. Versus like, you are aware, Mr. Hell Knight, that you are a member of our order and a teacher here at this university. You know the repercussions of such actions. He's just like, oh, yes. You guys are going to have to find another individual to give intricate anatomy classes to your less inclined students. Oh, shame. You might have to hire a doctor or something.
Jacques immediately, straightens up in his book with a very venomous glare. We can leave him.
You also know that if things become dire, you might not be able to adequately defend yourself. Yes. I'm aware of the circumstances of my current existence. In general, not like I can renege on that now. I don't think you guys would let me walk out of here after banishing or dispelling the effects of the tattoo. I've accepted this as a part of my life. But I'm okay with that. If I die in this journey, I'll be dying doing something I've always wanted to do.
I just want to touch the skin of the Book of the Dead once.
I'm loath to ask what that would be, but if that's your decision, you can take it up with the Magus Rex. You know what, Aisha, you guys just got a meeting, haven't you? I'm sure he is plenty available right now. I bid you all adieu and farewell for now. If you're associated with Professor Aldenar here, I'm sure I know where I can find you.
Doc just watches him with a withering look as he walks off.
And with that, he very, very confidently marches out of the room.
Serena stands from the desk.
There's a palpable aura around Doc. Displeasure.
I don't think he meant anything by it.
You are not awesome. Don't play at such levels of naivety. Yes, can I help you?
Sean, when did you get a cat?
Honestly speaking, Jacques would not mind cats. They are independent, intelligent. They are dogs. He doesn't like dogs.
I wonder why.
He really doesn't like dogs. He has multiple reasons for not liking dogs.
I think the fact that they would run into him and then kill themselves upon him just for a pet would be a major factor of it.
Yeah.
You act like that's not how he figured out he could rot things at a touch. Hunting hounds, man. He doesn't like dogs.
So, that grim news aside, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break.
All right.
Shit, I just got back from mine. Be safe, make good choices.
Absolutely not.
I'll say go you first.
Is that Ripley conked out on your bed?
Yes, she is like head looking up, like full out. Are you asleep? Like,
Back to it.
Then, oh shit, just warning you, I will have to run away in like 3 minutes to grab my food.
I gave you 10 minutes.
The food wasn't here in 10 minutes, and I ordered it before the break. I assumed it would arrive but when we were having a break, it's going to be like 3-4 minutes. I'm just warning.
And there goes Ripley to a
I'm just saying we kill him.
I mean, it's justified at this point. I ordered food, and it's going to arrive 3 minutes late. How dare I?
What's the
would
point
I?
of living? You've fallen so low.
I'm trying to make a point. Stop, like, putting your face on me.
Stop being cute.
Stop being cute. I'm trying to pretend to be upset.
I can't pretend to be upset if I'm smiling at your cuteness.
Do you know, like, how hard it is to play Sebastian when she's, like, sleeping on me? I have to look like a fucking psychopath just petting a cat, no emotion.
I think that's the character.
It does. I straight up have, like, looked at the stream and been like, I look like a fucking supervillain right now.
That's gonna be like Sebastian's like character arc, because he's gonna get over the whole touch thing, but only to a certain cat, and he's just gonna sit there stroking mittens.
It's fine.
So, you guys, I'm assuming fill Radovan in on your conversation you had.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Does anyone want
Is
to
it-
state anything they think about him to Radovan?
He's really into necromancy. Like, I don't know how much, because, like, I didn't understand it, but, like, he talked about, like, he starts, like, naming a few things from the lecture they had, mispronouncing the words, but and misremembering it a bit, but he starts to, like, lightly explain.
Mr. Alderney is not super happy that he was giving you guys this information.
It was a bit on the unsettling side, I would say. But he is knowledgeable.
Well, that's for you all to decide on what you want to do. He doesn't seem like a bad individual, and Alexei himself has mentioned that he's for the most part harmless. Maybe too curious for his own good, but mostly harmless.
How was your meeting?
Good for the most part. The Marcus Order has been for a long time attempting to do the same thing that I have been trying to do in a decade or so. So, obviously, they have come to a lot of the same roadblocks and have met roadblocks I've never come across before, and are much more informed on everything that's going on than I am. And I understand that, and I admit that there were some ideas I had that were overly hopeful. Nonetheless, the fact that an entire city of the size of Rosencrantz could openly acknowledge that one of their leaders was a Vatilla was something that they were very impressed with, especially with the amount of time it took and the lack of town-ending scenarios involved in doing so. So, they also have relented that there were some things that maybe they are overthinking on matters. Anyway. It's a lot of conjecture at this point. As much as the Marcus Order wants to be out in the open and to introduce what is more or less a new science to the world as a whole, and an understanding of the world that people are, I would say, blissfully ignorant of. There is the church and fighting nearly 1,000 years of dogma we have to contend with. And not only that, but there's a more debate going on about if you allow these individuals out into the open, does that mean that you're validating everything they do? And while it seems obvious that obviously you don't want some Archmage to go and destroy an entire town for their magical research, they will be more willing to push the boundaries when the boundaries get pushed back, more or less. People always want to take more, is what it comes down to. They always want to overextend their reach. But from this current level, overextending the reach doesn't go that far. But if we remove some of those boundaries, their overreach can become more and more serious. Essentially, people suck and we can't have nice things because of it.
I see.
Nonetheless, there's hope that in some regions it might be possible. And if something can be done about Moth to make it a safer place to live, it might be the great staging grounds for a renaissance of the supernatural, as it is a wholly uncontrolled region by the Empire, and the Church has almost no say in what goes on there.
Any actual ideas how you could go about that, or is it just kind of, oh, that'd be a good thing to do?
They've been trying to find out for years what the fuck is going on with Moth, my friend. It's anyone's game, but it is one of the possibilities. There also is a possibility of the Eastern Isle. They have a closer tie-in with the supernatural than we do here in the West. And they might be a bit more amicable. Granted, we'd have to go there and work even more than we already are. So we have a lot of ideas and plans, and we're going to be talking about it for a while. Fortunately, for the time being, there's not really overly much that we have to do. So we are to go back to Mr. Alderney's home and make ourselves comfortable while we do our talks and talk about what our next plan might be.
Okay.
Sounds
So with that, you guys leave the university just as daybreak is starting and head off to Varys's home to plan, organize, and figure out what comes next. It takes a bit of time. So is there anything you guys want to do whilst you're here in Hausen?
Art?
Alex, your camera is off.
I'm eating, and I don't want the world to see that.
Don't be Devin just right in the bottom left. The bottom right.
Just,
I want this to become like a mukbang stream or whatever. But Arthur would actually Well, first he's probably gonna ask Varus, but like, I have this thing I can do. Like, actually, set a few things I can do, and he demonstrates. And he's just like, I kind of can develop my own abilities, but like, I have absolutely no fucking idea what it is. I feel like if I actually understood to at least like some minimum level, like what it was, I could come up with better things. Because right now I'm kind of like running around like, oh, someone makes a little one-off thing, and I'm like, well, maybe. What if I could? You know? Does this make any sense?
He looks it over and he says, well, it's definitely not magic. I've heard of such things being capable of proficient martial fighters, especially from those from the lands of the East. Though I do hear it takes much time to develop these abilities, so such a spontaneity of form and construction of your talent seems unique.
He like kind of beams to himself.
But unfortunately, none here in House are familiar with the arts.
Ah, shit.
They run off your type.
In the Anima High School, the key users bully the mages.
So, unfortunately, there's not much that can be done. You can find individuals of similar talents in some of the larger cities, I'm assuming. There are various martial arts competitions in the year where many individuals of such talents gather together.
Could be possible.
Unfortunately, again, we're not knowledgeable when it comes to arts like that.
And I'm assuming they don't have a college for this. Otherwise, you'd have said it.
I think they have schools. Very prevalent in Feon.
Oh shit, that's where I'm from.
Maybe you picked it up by some form of osmosis.
Yeah, of course. Just like, what does that mean, though?
You were present enough that you picked it up subconsciously.
I guess it's possible. I mean, I'm guessing because you know more about this shit than I do from what this sounds like.
That's incredibly unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is.
So I recommend you head there if you want to find any more information.
All right. Thanks a bunch, man.
Of course.
Okay. Serena will actually approach Varys as well.
Ah, yes, I get to practice my old man voice for a whole session.
Guys, let's just conga line down to grab some info. Like each of us one at a time.
Mr. Alderney.
Alderney?
Alderney.
Alderney. Yes, how can I help you, child?
We've come across some magics before. It was magics that we were ill prepared to go against. There was a priest who was able to convince people to do stuff at his whim. And overall, it was a very unsettling endeavor. I was wondering, is there any knowledge of possibly counteracting such magics, or?
Unfortunately, it comes from years of diligent research and meditation to fortify one's willpower against being influenced by the magical forces. Unfortunately, when it comes to magic, magic is best to defeat magic. Now, there's evidence that the Inquisition and various members of the Knights of Telroku, who are more resistant to such effects through diligent training and in possession of artifacts that make such feats more feasible. But to the layman, that's something that's more unattainable.
I see.
If you have tens of thousands of crowns, you could go to Black Sun and try to procure some artifacts of such.
Tens of thousands?
They don't come cheap.
I see. Yeah. Serena kind of like looks at her coin pouch, thinking like 300 gold crowns. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. You could live off that 300 crown and buy a nice house.
We essentially won
wow.
a fucking principality and still only had enough money to buy like 3 things.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess, is there a possible way to learn about magics in general from a more, I guess, less gifted standpoint?
In theory, though, it becomes pointless. For instance, if you are not able to detect the flows of spiritual and magical energies to detect a magical force, then what's the point in understanding why it's there when you wouldn't even be able to detect it? Or, you could learn magic theory of one of the branches, but you'll never be able to cast a spell lest you have the gift, which we're still trying to understand as of now, but it seems that only certain individuals are capable, whether it's due to a mental acuity or just some bloodline-like trait. You would be essentially deftly reaching into darkness, hoping to pull out anything, only being able to feel the mist below.
I see.
I'm just saying, there's no practical knowledge for you there. As much as you could know anything about it, there's little you could do to affect it without such gifts.
I guess, another possible path I might ask you is, what do you know about the Order of Yetta?
More than I would like to know. The Order of Yetta is an ancient mage's organization, to put it loosely. It's more like a culture. They are individuals who take the practice of magic too far, but even our own founder, Ambrose Magus, was once an order of yet a mage. Back in his time, there was no alternative. If you wanted assistance with your gifts to avoid dire situations, you needed to be taught, and the only people who could teach you were members of that order. But they seek knowledge of magic, like we do. We're ever much a mage that we are, but while we stop and make certain limitations, keep certain powerful artifacts under lock and key, they seek ever further to push their power and their gain and to establish a world of mage supremacists. If it hasn't been for the diligent work of the Inquisition, the Order would have taken the world over long ago.
Do you count the Inquisition as a blessing in that case, or?
The Inquisition is like a police force. Granted, it's a highly discriminatory one. While in some part they do ensure the peace and stop those committing atrocious acts, they sometimes overstep their bounds, needlessly enforce and restrict, and dogmatically destroy those they do not understand. They are every much a blessing as they are a curse on the world.
I would have to agree there. What caused the one who created the Magus Order to split off?
Purely and simply, he saw that the world of Christians and those who followed the Messiah were incompatible with the world of magic, and he wanted to change that. He wanted to create a more regulated and structured form of magic and magical thoughts and teaching that would teach individuals to be more cautious with their use of magic and not to push beyond certain limits, and to establish a means of coexistence between those with the gift and those without the gift. If you strip a mage of all their magic, they are left purely a person, so we're not all that different. But, of course, any organization is full of errors of mankind. So, we have come to a point where we are doing our best to keep the world safe in our own way. And we have worked with members of Toroku to protect the world. And on very rare occasions, the Inquisition. But we are an organization that has not had our own renegades and those who broke the rules and took advantage of everything they gained from us to cause havoc and destruction. So, I think is how your friends, the Vitella mentioned, or put it, people suck, and we can't have nice things because of that.
Okay. I guess I've had a run-in with an Order of Yeta member before. A lot of it I didn't understand. I've been trying to understand magic a little bit more and more. But I guess I was taken away from my home to understand the abilities I have. And I was curious if you might have knowledge that would help me understand my abilities a little further.
A common thing in your group of individuals, I find. But sure, though I don't sense any of the flow of Xeon or the manipulation of spiritual essence about you.
From what I've been able to understand, at least, is I've been able to do things similar to my friend Ishtar, but it seems to come from a different place entirely. And then there's another thing that doesn't seem to coincide with it as much. I'm able to will things to move, create lights, and even in some certain capacities, increase myself and other people's physical capabilities.
This sounds somewhat similar to what your friend, Arthur, I believe his name was mentioning. It's possible that you delve into a similar source of power and talent that he has for the martial arts.
I tried to ask him about that. His explanation of it didn't seem quite the same, if I am to be honest.
How are they different?
I guess the best way that I could say is Arthur is able to just kind of make things happen, almost at a whim, in a way. While mine is more, I have to concentrate on something particularly hard and almost will it into being. It gets easier the more that I do it, but I don't know. I've never. The only similarity me and Arthur have had is we've caused ourselves to fly to some capacity.
Well, magic works in similar ways. There's various schools and trees of magic that do different things but are all magic, but sometimes they have overlapping capacities. I mean, again, we're not overly schooled in anything that's just willed into existence in a fashion. Though, concentration. I still don't understand how you feel it's different. He wills it and it's easy, and you will it and it's hard, is what you're saying?
I suppose, but maybe I'm misunderstanding how unfortunately, Arthur was also didn't seem knowledgeable about his abilities.
Yes, that was evident.
It might just be a misunderstanding on my part, though.
It's possible. I recommend the same thing I recommended him, to seek out someone probably of an Eastern culture in various martial arts schools and see if they might have more what you're looking for, or maybe they can give you the right directions. Unfortunately, if it's not magic or basic sciences, I'm not going to be of much help.
That's fair. I guess there's another part of it. I have this ability to heal myself and others at a rapid rate, but it seems to not come from the same one that increases people's physical capabilities. All I know is that when I do it, I'm able to, in kind of a blinding light, slowly, in a certain sense, regenerate people to their full vitality.
Well, that still could be very much the same thing. Some martial artists have been known to, I think they're called ki healers. They enhance the vitality of one's essence and help it heal itself. You're trying to say, hey, I got these psychic abilities, man, but you're using all the wrong ones.
Psychic abilities and other abilities as well. But that's fair.
Well, either way, he's not a psychic, nor a key user, nor someone who has other abilities.
Fair.
So.
It's still probably smart to ask people who are in a city of knowledge.
No, I know. I think it's more of your direction is not the right approach if you're trying to get that result. Because everything you said was just, yeah, Key could do that. And Key is one of those things that people can do. So, you know.
Fair. To be fair, there's not a lot of things that psychic abilities could do that Key can't do.
No. Key or psychic abilities are manipulating abilities, while key abilities are evoking abilities. So the difference is a key user can project bullets of air. Psychic.
I guess technically she's just manipulating the world around her rather than projecting something in a way.
It's about demonstrating that. It's about a manipulation versus evocation. Because a lot of the same things, like, I could set people on fire, which is a pyrokinetic, right? But it's like, so can a key user. Making someone be on fire is different than I can take a flame and manipulate it, you know.
That's fair. I suppose I could give a demonstration of some of the things I could do, if that might help.
Sure. It might.
Let's see. She kind of begins concentrating and then slowly raises the amount of light that's in the room. But I'll roll for it. Just to be safe. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. He looks at that and he's like, that's unusual. Key, as I've mentioned before, is utilizing one's internal energy to create or enhance oneself, but this seems different. Tell me, do you feel yourself inclinated towards an aspect of some form? You said many of your abilities produce light.
Yeah. Producing light, increasing people's and myself's physical capabilities. Another one is kind of manipulating objects and causing them to move.
Telekinesis.
And also creating a light that seems to envelop a target and hold them in place.
I mean, of many of those, it's recreatable through some means, but telekinesis is one of those unique ones. Only certain types of people are able to manipulate objects at a distance without the use of magic. It's something that has been theorized that some individuals might be able to tap into some kind of mental matrix to manipulate the world around them. We have some members in
Sorry, guys.
Everyone's had their questions.
Yep.
We have some members in the great university of Lucretia who are researching some similar phenomena with individuals. If there was a place to go to learn about such things, I can't imagine a greater institute of learning.
Where would I find the Gracia?
Here. He brings you over to a large world map and points to the Principality of Lucretia. And the Great University is one of the marked locations on it as well.
Oh, well, that is quite far away, isn't it?
Yes. Though, if you take a boat or charter across the inner sea, you could be there in a few months. I even hear they have these things called zeppelins that can make the journey in just a day or so. Though I heard that it's quite the pricey endeavor.
It's not tens of thousands, is it?
Around, I think, 1,000 crown or so. per person.
Hmm.
Serious, it's like I thought I was rich. What are these prices?
When I started this journey, I had 5 pennies to my name. There's a threshold where you could be even more rich. What?
It's like when you give a normal Joe Schmo $50,000. You're like, here's $50,000, and like, oh my god, I'm so rich. What can I do? And he's like, if you save, you can buy a car if you get a few thousand more dollars.
I could get a Ferrari with this. No, hold on. It was much more expensive.
Like imagine yourself getting $50,000 right now.
Oh man, that'd be good for a year.
It's like it seems like such a crazy amount of money, but then when you put it in a perspective of like some of the things that we have in our world, it's like, oh yeah, I can't even buy like a brand new car for that much, or at least not a really, really nice one.
Yep.
Which makes you think, how do people afford these kinds of things?
Debt.
Yeah, debt, or you're have very rich parents. Anywho, was there anything else Serena needed to ask?
Thank you. I'm glad that you were able to sit with me and talk with me about this. Hopefully I didn't take up too much of your time.
No, you're a bright young girl who is asking lots of honestly terrible questions. Not that they're bad, but the fact that one such as yourself would need to ask about such things is, I think, a failing in the world we have today. It's good to be curious, though, and I'm sorry we cannot answer more questions about your personal capabilities.
It's okay. You gave me a possible place to ask, and that's all I can really... that's something I really appreciate.
So, anything else?
Speaking of talking with Varus,
He's just getting up from his seat when you come in and he sits down.
nothing too serious. She was actually going to ask for recommendations on books to read since she might be traveling soon for basic and magic, so she could purchase them for the road.
Oh, you don't need to purchase such things. We have such manuals available for just this occasion. I happen to have many copies myself. And gets up, heads over to a shelf near the door, and pulls out a few books, and he hands you like 5 dictionaries. This should get you through the basics.
Thank you so much. She tries to lug them out the door.
Have you considered what we spoke about a few days past?
I have. Unfortunately, right now, I'm not able to accept the offer because of some things going on in the world right now. And as much as I would love to, I am still right now a traveling companion to Radovan, and I did agree to help him out with his journey as well. And I wish to honor that deal.
I see. Well, if you change your mind, you know where you can go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for letting me borrow these.
They're yours. You don't have to return without returning them.
Thank you.
Don't overly consider it. It's better you learn about this than accidentally kill yourself or endanger yourself with improper use of magic.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
She just carries the books and leaves. Places them in her room and maybe does some light shopping just to see if there's anything unique she can find in the city.
Ha! There's nothing but unique things in this city. You want art, you want statuettes, you want various intellectual books or philosophies.
How about like a cute little neck scarf accessory or something that she could wear? Something light.
Yes.
She's already got books to carry around.
There's all kinds of fancy clothing and experimental clothing around.
She's a little worried about the experimental clothing.
There's this ugly thing called a turtleneck sweater that tons of people seem to be wearing.
Fuck that thing. Nothing like the weakest man in the world trying to strangle you at all times.
Awful.
As he says, as I'm wearing a mock turtleneck.
I'm talking about the ones that are like up here.
I mean, I'm with you on turtleneck. I hate anything like around my neck, like touching it.
Yours actually isn't like gripping your neck though. You're not wearing the. You're not wearing the. The something Jobs. What was his name?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs?
turtleneck.
She won't go for that one. She's just looking for a cute little scarf she can wear around her neck.
Sure. It will be about 70 silver pieces.
Okay. She'll pay for that, and she'll see if she can find one for Serena as well. Different color, different print.
Sure. They have plenty.
All right. That's it for Ishtar.
Well, in the very least, you guys are here for another month. Let's see. So it took you guys a little over a month to get here, which put it into early spring. And so it's another spring. And so you guys are somewhere in the April, March time of year.
Okay. Is it possible to study up on the occult while somebody's here for a month? Or is that books that would probably be hard to find even here?
You say the occult. There's a lot of occults. Is there anything occult specific you're looking for? If you just want to, I would say all of you can take a 10 plus 10 to any knowledge-based skill in the city.
Knowledge.
Hey, for you, this is going to be really good because it's normally super
Free
expensive for
knowledge.
you.
The third brain cell joins the fight. Ta-da!
Whether you're improving knowledge you have or learning something new. The only thing I would say is you probably, in this amount of time, couldn't learn any skill beyond 180.
That's fair.
Actually, there is a skill that I think Arthur might be decent with.
What would that be?
Navigation.
Oh, yeah. You can definitely put points into navigation.
He already gets a little bit of bonus from being from Faon, so.
Out of curiosity, would having aptitude in the intellectual field help in this regard at all?
No. You guys are just getting a plus 10 to your base.
Okay, just make sure.
And for Ishtar, this is a good chance to improve her magic appraisal.
I thought magic appraisal was based on power.
It's in the knowledge
section. Yeah, she'll go ahead and do that then.
Because that's essentially the magic skill. It's the arcana of Anima.
It also helps you hide magic from people.
Yeah.
A very important
she-
skill.
Well, she's up to a base of 100 then.
What?
Oh, that would bump it up to about 100 base then so far.
Nice.
Pretty good.
GG. Yeah, Doc's gonna enjoy a fucking month in civilization. Beautiful, beautiful civilization. Though admittedly, whenever he intends to basically just like enjoy, like, you know, there's a lot of museums and such and things. It gets him away from where they're staying, and thus probably the increasingly bored Arthur is all I can imagine. So he occasionally ditches, sometimes unsuccessfully, I imagine. Does a good bit of just like not even window shopping, but it's just somewhere where he isn't known and he can enjoy at leisure. Just somewhere nice and not being chewed on by undead or the abominations of Moth or harassed by a bunch of barbarians.
Fair.
It's nice.
It's nice. Richard goes through his own little scenario of events as he promptly attempts to quit his job, only to find out that you guys are staying in town for another month, in which he begs to get his job back for a month. And then he spends as much time as he can at Varys's home, hanging around. To
I might have already
Varys's,
canceled my lease, you guys.
to Varys's dismay, especially as Richard has, unsurprisingly, got a bit of a reputation amongst members of the Magus Order. And you also know that Varys has various students of his own who come to his manor and begin to study the magical arts several times a week.
And at some point, after he's done taking his notes, Ishtar, you find a book left politely in your room. Should you choose to read it?
I remember that book being in the pile.
Doesn't sound like anything I'd pick up.
It doesn't.
It's not bookmarked. And it isn't bookmarked in a couple places either.
Mm.
Blood. How does it work?
Why is yours wrong?
She hesitantly opens up to one of the bookmarks. Blood of the Dragon? Nah. Just shuts the book and puts it on the bed. There's no way. Then she just walks off. She'll probably go back and read it eventually just because she's curious. But she's like, there's no way. There's no way.
There's also the Beast Blood line, but there's far less bookmarks in that one.
She'll go through all the bookmarks, but the entire time she's gone, maybe?
Are there various
That doesn't fit.
like sticky notes and sections and just like, this is totally you. You cannot deny it.
It's basically like you just take a thin strip of paper, very obviously like done like the folded over one direction, creased with a nail, folded over the other direction, creased with a nail, and then like perfectly ripped off. That like underlines. It's like shoved in the middle of the book so that it underlines certain passages. Yeah, there's a number of those.
Oh, it's Doc's own like old-timey Pinterest board for Ishtar.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you're misunderstanding Either what a book is or what Pinterest is.
Why not both?
Ishtar will read through them all. She's just like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe. Nah, not close enough. These examples don't fit.
She's in denial.
Examples beneath, they can take on literally any physical aspect of other creatures. They're so fucking magic. Cough.
She's only in denial because she has no idea, nor she had confirmation. She does know she's not fully human thanks to Radovan. She just doesn't know with what.
So it's definitely not a matter of your bloodline, which determines your genetics or anything.
In all fairness, she doesn't know science. She grew up in a religious church that didn't exactly promote science. So this is really new to her. So she's not going to get it.
If you make that choice, that's up to you.
She'll still read
left
it.
you with your answers.
She has no idea this book belongs to Jacques. She'll read it. She'll probably hold on to it because she has no idea who left it on her bed in the first place. But she'll try to process it. It's a lot to take in.
It's fine. It's in your medical record now. Whether you know or not.
Ishtar's hungry. Here, throw her this chunk of meat. Maybe she'll turn into a dragon.
I think you misunderstand.
No, I do not misunderstand anything. But
I know.
Ishtar is just mainly confused and just like, maybe, I don't know.
There's also a few times where Doc definitely, like, not outright invites Radovan, but informs Radovan that he's going to go check out a place of interest.
So you're inviting him.
Yeah, and then like immediately regrets it like 5 minutes out the door and is like, I'm so desperate at this point. How far I've fallen. But at least he has class and knows how to talk about literally anything of intelligence.
It's true.
He's old too, so like, you know, he knows things and he can actually hold a fucking conversation, so. Radovan definitely gets invited along a few times. Not that he tries to do the roundabout, I'm not saying you should come with me. But if you followed, I won't kill you about it. In Doc's usual surly manner.
Yeah. And as you guys go out,
Radovan absolutely sees through.
Radovan goes out in his normal self, you know, in his normal attire and everything, and people get looks, and I'm just like, "Are you okay, sir?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, no. I have a case of albinism that has a unique factor of making my hair with this vibrant color of red." It's like, "Oh, albinism, that makes sense. That's why your eyes are so off color as well."
Absolutely not how albinism works.
But they're smart people, and they can't admit that they don't know something. So when you mention something sciencey enough, they're like, "Oh yeah, of course, albinism."
I knew that. Which, like, Doc kind of gets us a mood. It's alright.
And to be fair, there is a kind of albinism that gives you pale skin and red hair.
It's just not bright fire truck red with silver eyes and black veins, specifically. Oh, and bone nails.
Those he hides more.
Yeah, that would be hard to
more
kind of
particular.
explain.
But he goes with you, and you guys have some nice intellectual dates, as it were. As
he has to recover from all this time spent with the rest of them.
As you know, Radovan, I mean, he respects your distance and your particular you know, social etiquettes to a point, but he's still Radovan.
Yep.
And he still speaks overly familiar and almost too intimately on occasion.
And, hey, at least I don't have to worry about him pulling the Arthur levels of stuff.
That's true.
Most of these are being incredibly dangerous. And Jacques will just leave in public. He'll just leave.
Fair.
If it gets too much and he feels that his non-existent reputation in this place is insulted, he'll just leave.
But there are
Wow.
various opportunities where Radovan is just like, so, I know you have, a reason not to become too close to people, but, are there any individuals that you find particularly alluring,
Goes through all the phases of grief, realizing he's done this to himself.
Like, is it a pretty face? Masculine hands? There has to be something. Feminine, masculine. Personally, I can go either way, so, like, I understand.
You know what? Here, rather than roll your persuasion.
Oh! You want Radovan's persuasion, huh? Okay.
No, I forgot he has like inhuman abilities because of it. Stop.
You asked.
You just asked a freelancer to roll a skill.
Well, not only that, but fucking
Oh my God.
charm. Oh no, I'm not looking at roll20. Hold on. Jesus fucking Christ. Alright, so it might have made a mistake.
It was for those at home. He rolled a 270.
That's 10 points under an impossible roll.
The limits of a regular person.
The limits of a regular person.
What is even 195?
He's a diplomat.
I think the only people in the party who have a skill higher maybe Serena's medicine and Doc's medicine for sure.
Oh no, Serena's is a 180.
Okay, so Doc's 215 in medicine is literally the only skill higher. Jesus Christ.
He's a charismatic individual who knows how to talk to people.
Yeah.
This
That's why
is
I said it, 'cause
this is his skill.
we'll reward him for being a great character. I'm sorry, Doc is so fucking repressed that it's hard for me to figure out how to say anything. He's just so set on hating people.
But man, Radovan, he got through with a nearly impossible level of talent and skill.
Jacques makes no eye contact. The entire conversation is very obviously uncomfortable posture that, like, if he were any straighter, like, you could, like, test level ground with him.
Fair. It's okay. Radovan doesn't stare overly much. He minds his own business.
Side eye thing, waiting for his answers.
But if you go too long without answering, maybe to possibly escape the question in the silence, he'd be like, I'm still waiting.
He doesn't wait that long, if only because it's, in the end, it isn't something that overly matters. Just because it's, to him, it's not going to come up, so.
Speak for yourself, it matters to Radovan a lot.
I know it matters to Radovan a lot. But as he's rattling through his list of potentially attractive qualities, Doc does mention that he appreciates people who have fine hands, especially musicians and artists, especially hands that you can tell what they do. So being able to tell, like, that somebody is a pianist, or even like nicks on hands from people who sculpt, just stuff like that.
But not gnarly, rough warrior hands.
No, it's just,
Like artisan hands.
And likewise, as shitty as it is to just appreciate people who can hold intelligent conversation, it's also people who are very passionate about certain subjects. It's very enlightening. Even if he doesn't care about a subject, he doesn't actually mind hearing people talk about the things that they enjoy, provided that it's like of like a high enough tier. So like if somebody was talking about how much they love pinball, he's not going to be fucking interested. But talking about like means of academics or art or history, things that people are like super hyper focused in, he does enjoy hearing about it, even if he doesn't let it let it show.
Okay. Does he let slip if he's attracted to men, women, or both?
No, he doesn't say either way.
If Radovan presses, does he say so?
I don't see why it's important.
That's a good enough answer for me.
Again, it doesn't matter to him because none of it's something he considers possible anyway.
True, but to Radovan, he's already creating your dream individual in his mind, getting ready for it, so that when your soulmate walks by you on the street, he'll pull you by the arm and be like, "There they are."
Don't touch my fucking arm.
I'll risk my life to make sure that you live happily ever after, Jacques. He doesn't say as much.
Though he does also mention things that he outright dislikes, which is just clumsy people. Not only because it's a fucking risk, but he just doesn't like people with 2 left feet, especially because of his appreciation for dance.
Fair.
He enjoys ballroom a lot. In fact, it is probably at any point in any conversation he's had with Radovan, him talking about either his interest in medicine or ballroom specifically, he actually sounds slightly impassioned. Holy fuck.
Then Radovan makes sure that on one of your intellectual dates to take you out to a theater so you can appreciate some dance.
And then he gets nothing else. Eventually, Doc's like realizes he said too much. It's like, all right, we're done. We're done here. Are you happy? Making him think about all the things that he cannot have because he'll literally kill somebody.
All Radovan hears is, "I will make your dreams come true."
He's like, this just is hard mode matchmaking. God, what a romance novel it would be. Flops down on a chase lounge.
Forbidden love. But, yeah, and Radovan, speaking of, Radovan during that course of that month is gone between 1 and 3 times a week to a meeting to speak with various individuals, other influential members of the Magus Order, even to go speak with some present Archons from the Order of Samael. A lot of very official business. So you guys are left to your devices more often than not. Eventually it comes down to, and we'll have this conversation before we finish for the night. At the end of the month, Radovan comes and gathers you all together and sits you down, and Richard too, as he doesn't leave when subtly hinted to do so. So, I've gathered you all here together today because it's occurred to me that we are in a position of establishing ourselves in a bunch of communities and such, and it's going to take a lot of political talking and lots of monitoring the going-ons of surrounding principalities and areas. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is we could be here for quite a while. Now, for the most part, it's something that can be taken over letter. What I mean is, if we were to go anywhere else, it won't necessarily impede things. I can write out to my various contacts about various things, not to get overly informative on it, and continue figuring out what it is that we can and can't do. But I do understand that you all have a particular goal in mind that you want to have accomplished. Yes, the part where we get the book, right? Right, Richard. So, as much as I would like to inquire further on your behalf, I'm already pretty busy dealing with all the contacts I'm already trying to manage and communicate with. And so I don't know if there's overly much I can do when it comes to trying to get you in contact with individuals. I guess more than just finding out where we can go and can't go, and then you guys will have to do the legwork, to put it lightly. So, what do you all plan to do? I'm sure you're not all interested in staying here in Hauser for, months upon years.
I can't afford to stay in one place for that long, so.
Admittedly, the longer we take, the more likely an event might happen again.
Well, unfortunately, we don't seem to have any leads when it comes to possible informants in Black Sun. I've asked around a bit, but the De La Cruz family is a very particularly powerful family within the organization.
We need to find people already with enough reason and resources to oppose them. And I do not believe that the time scale for another one of their experiments is a particular risk. If it did happen, there would be no stopping it. They already have the means to produce the creatures. It is cutting them off in the end that is useful. Currently, they have no reason to turn however many cities into raving hordes of the undead. But unfortunately, this is not something that we are a personal army for. Information gathering and connections would have to be our method.
Well, then a possible avenue, as it were. Whilst keeping our eyes and ears, peeled for any kind of opportunities that might arise, if you have any personal goals you would like to attend to.
Personal goals, you say?
Yes.
Yeah. It's rather specific, but still looking out for information on your involving the individual. It would be helpful if it was more specific businesses he was involved in. Or, a name. But I must work with what I have.
Yeah, sadly.
Admittedly, there has been one that has shown itself, but I thought maybe it might not be possible.
Which is?
Discovering a little bit more about my capabilities.
You and Ishtar both have a plethora of interesting capabilities that can be grown beyond what they are. So, reaching out to better yourselves is no issue.
And I believe you were asking a bit about that as well, right, Arthur?
Oh yeah. I'm just curious what the hell I can actually do. I mean, I didn't go to no university for all this.
Let's see. You have a martial talent and you use ki.
I use what?
Right. From what I've heard, talking to various individuals, those individuals who can use their life energy to produce effects similar to what you can do. Manifesting weapons,
Sounds like me.
attacking, defending oneself.
I do a lot of the attacking.
If it comes to finding out what you can do, there are various martial events that happen around the old continent.
Go find ourselves in the tournament. I don't want to get hurt stopped. That's all, Arthur.
As much as I'd love to enter a martial arts tournament, there's no way I can make my abilities non-lethal. Or like,
or can you?
Or can I?
That's just one of the possible.
Boom, boom.
Just one of the possible avenues. I mean, if there's other individuals of similar skill, I'm sure they have similar difficulties.
It's something I'll surely look on as I find the man I'm looking for.
Other than that, I've been told there are many schools that teach similar-esque type things. Granted, nothing so grand scale, but still.
You know any locations off the top of your head?
No, but I can ask.
Ah, thanks.
Well,
I heard that, from Varys, that there's some things to the east that might help you.
How far east? Like, Phaon east?
Well, I discovered my thing is very far south, so it might be very far east.
Ah, shit.
I'm not sure, though.
oh, hell. Well, this is very important and not easy to do. Deciding, where one wishes to take themselves and what they wish to do is important. And until something changes, I can honestly say that I'm opposed to staying around here and working to establish more connections and networking and trying to formulate a plan. But as I said, as a Patella, years are so fleeting and they go by so quickly. It's easy to be in a city for 10 years and feel like it's nothing. And I know for people like you, it's different. So I want to be able to appease that and a lot of what I can do by message and vids. So, not going to abandon you, as you guys have helped me out so far. But when it comes to furthering plans, doing more, I said what I said at the beginning of our venture together. What I have to do has to come first, and that's what I gotta put all my energy into.
We understand.
Well, go, relax, rest, figure out what you want to do, have some tea. I heard it's delicious.
I'm just gonna assume I heard that wrong.
What?
Don't worry about it.
He said, have some tea. I heard it's delicious.
Okay, I heard that
I
one.
said be delicious.
I heard pee.
Have some pea. I heard it's delicious.
I heard the same thing, and I thought it was some like regional thing I've never heard of, or if I really was just going with the childish answer there.
It was the accent.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
I was like, I'm not going to think into this. I assume I heard it wrong, or I'm just being an idiot here.
And we'll reconvene when you guys have a better idea of what you'd like to do. And with that, we're going to end the session. Another campaign at a crossroads of things to do.
True.
Decisions to make. But you guys have made some major steps in the right direction of what you guys want to do. You've made some very good connections. We found out that Jacques is a hands guy.
Listen, I think you know what it is. I think it's just like I cannot break the like aristocratic aesthetic from like Regency novels, like weird obsession with hands.
I think it fits.
But you know, there's also the whole like pretty much all of his hobbies involve dexterous hands, so why would he not appreciate others?
I won't make the reference.
And there's the that sweet yearning
For touch. It's better than a weird foot fetish.
Yes, no foot fetish here. As funny as it would be to like creep Alex out with stuff.
I can't have people step.
Arthur, you have such slender toes.
It's like step away while I drink your blood.
I can't have people step on me if their legs run up.
See, I mean, if you said something like that, I wouldn't be like weirded out or creeped out. I would just be like, "Oh, that's the direction you're taking your character, huh? All right."
No, that is not how. That should not be your takeaway.
No, the takeaway is just the look you gave everyone, just like, oh, you fuckers. Anyway, let's give you guys some experience, shall we? So, general interpretation, good session. I believe everyone really got into the characters, asked some very important questions. I think it was a very progressive session overall for everyone's characters. So I'll give everyone 25 experience points. Time spent, 3 experience points. No difficult actions, no good ideas or plans. Wasn't really it was just an RP session. A lot of lore dumping, a lot of information. So, speaking of which, player awards, no combat awards, obviously. The face award, though. No one used actually any facing skills. I would say the one who asked the most questions and progressed the most information is Serena, though. asking about the Order of Yeta and everything, asking about your own personal abilities, even though it's agonizing trying to split it off from what a key user can use. We got there eventually.
It's one of those things where it's just like they're so close that dotted line.
Yeah, key user cannot amplify the light in a room. They can create a light in the room.
True.
Even when you're like, oh yeah, I can make a light that can grab onto people, I'm like, so can a key user. They can have a light aspected attack that grapples. So it's like,
it's one of those weird things where it's like you're trying to explain your abilities, and as the player, you know how to explain it, but the character doesn't know what techniques can do, but you can, and just like, Serena, no. But just
well, to be fair, it's also, you guys are in a terrible campaign for this, because like Arthur should not be able to do this willy-nilly. He should have been trained somewhat to learn and develop these abilities. But no, we live in a universe where Arthur can just imagine to do this stuff and it works. So when you say I will it to exist, I'm like, well, so can fucking Arthur. That's the duality of letting your players get away with too much.
Fair.
Not that I have an over issue with it, but it was just a funny complication to occur because of it. The utility award, no utility really came up. So, the pity award, Jacques, because you asked the one question no one should ever do. Have Radovan roll a persuasion roll to make it to me.
As soon as you, I was like, oh no.
Oh, you mean Radovan, who has almost mastery?
But to be fair, that's why I said it in the first place, like admittedly as a joke, but because he is persuasive to an unnatural degree.
He is not unnatural. It's not an inhuman number.
Not yet.
Not yet. He is a diplomat character. And persuasion is one of the skills that he has to the nines.
What was the general session experience again?
25. Plus 3 for being here. So, beyond that, any player nominations and or kudos?
I can't believe you guys agreed to the lecture. I walk away for 2 seconds.
Well, to be fair, they had to kill
made
an
him
hour.
feel bad. She's too nice of a person to say no.
There, I suppose.
I don't know if it'd be more of a player award as more kudos, but for Jacques trying to research his bloodline and finding out a bit more than he asked for. It was a very interesting learning moment for Jacques. Learning a bit more about his bloodline as possibly on the magical side what it means.
He also learned you're a fucking freak. Just what type, you know?
I will say, Jacques took an intellectual player award because you were genuinely interested in everything and trying to best apply what you know to a world of science that you have no comprehension of. I could see you genuinely trying to have Jacques learn about what was going on and being actually interested. So, I appreciate that. As someone who likes playing intelligent characters, I can appreciate that.
I mean, half of it's just like the pride of not knowing things, but the other half is like, no, while his interest is not in the occult, these people have still discovered things that fundamentally they're fucking real. They've happened. He's seen this bizarre shit go on. And nobody's going to be doing fake shit when the Inquisition is going to murder the shit out of you. So, even if it isn't applicable to him, it's still interesting to listen to because what if it is applicable in medicine or it ever comes up? It's nice to know about. So.
Fair.
And hearing Radovan talk more about like weird Vitala, like anatomy and like how they work, still bizarre. but really fascinating that you're just walking around with like no organs. You're basically blood pudding on legs.
I mean, they have organs, they just don't work the same.
It's just blood. It's blood all the way down.
You don't want to fight the blood pudding on legs. I've done it. It's not a fun time.
Any other player nominations and awards?
Arthur, actually, as like a kind of a character development in a way. Arthur is actually pursuing like just self-improvement in general, and actually went to like a teacher guy to learn some answers. Unfortunately, didn't find as much as he was hoping, but it's still something that is out of the norm for Arthur, and it seems to be a stride for an improvement.
So I'm torn on this, right? Because on one half, I agree, he's going out and searching for knowledge and information, when before he would just make shit up. On the other hand, he's doing so purely for the purpose of figuring out what he can do, so then he can thus just make it up afterwards.
In a way, it's... But also Arthur right now is motivated because if he finds out there's just better gun shit, he wants to emulate it so he can better murder this guy. It's all for the pursuit of just better murder, but...
I will agree. On a 50%, I'll give you the I'll raise to the next and give you a full point for it. So,
okay.
Or a full player award for it. So, I do believe it is good, but it's also just like I just want to know what more I can do so that I can make it up with my guns.
I'll say as well, because this is because you know me, I like characters with weakness. Like Arthur's intelligence is my like I cannot just go through the book, say that looks cool, ding, that looks cool, ding. It's no, he has to logically come to the conclusion, and for him that's a fucking stretch. So it's my own limitation because I also don't want to make him more busted than he already is. I want him to be beatable.
Trust me, I can beat your character anytime.
Yeah,
Don't worry about being unbeatable because you took one pretty good like martial or key path in the book.
There's some scary shit in the book.
That's not a problem. So don't worry about being too powerful. You're only powerful because your next closest competitor is the fact that Jacques can melt people from the inside out.
Funnily enough, Sebastian just got the ability to explode people from the inside out. So
nice.
That was the ability I chose in his level up. Also, he's now considerably better at tactics.
Nice.
Fair.
Any other player nominations in there? Kudos.
I'd say it's more of a pity for Arthur again. He's stuck in an intellectual city and he is not an intellectual. So he's constantly trying to learn, but most of it escapes him. So he's trying to keep up and he's that one person lagging behind trying to keep up, and he's just like, maybe I'll just stay back here.
He's trying to learn the basics, but also knows enough to be like, there's no fucking hope for me.
You know what? I'll give Alex the player award rather than Arthur. It's hard to play dumb characters sometimes. It's legitimately hard sometimes to just be like, oh, how do I make myself dumber for my character's sake?
Yeah.
It can be a struggle.
Especially for things of like that are I know. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah. Any other player nominations and or kudos? Alright, well, with that, we're done. I do have some questions though. How do you guys like your new teammate, Richard Hell Knight?
I would expect it.
I find it fun. Serena's in a very weird spot with him. But I find him to be a fun character. He's quirky.
His name invokes the image of some badass, edgy anime boy, like with a big ass sword or something. Who he is just a big necromancy nerd.
Exactly.
It's not what I expected.
Exactly. You also now know a Dick Hell Knight. But no other opinions. Man, I must have did terrible with this character.
No, unfortunately, I will give you my opinion later. I need to go to bed.
It's fair.
That's fair. I guess I'll end the stream then. Say goodnight, everyone.
Hey.